I've always wanted a metal raised garden bed. They last a lot longer than any traditional wooden garden bed, and I think they add a nice touch to any garden. So I reached out to Sproutbox Garden, and they're the kindest company I've had the pleasure of dealing with. The owner, Eric, was kind enough to send me this 17-inch 9-in-1 raised garden bed. So in today's video, I'm going to put this thing together, give you guys my thoughts. Let's get into it. By the way, this is not a paid sponsorship. Eric is just awesome. He sent it to me for free. I'll link to it in the description. Before we get started with the build, let's go over some of the key features that the Sproutbox raised garden bed has. It's called a 9-in-1 because there's 9 potential different builds, raised garden bed shapes and sizes that you can build. I'm picking a 2 foot by 8 foot. I also consider the 3.5 foot by 6.5. So it'll work in almost any garden. This allows you to build the bed to fit your garden. The bed is 17 inches tall, and at that depth, that height, you'll be able to grow pretty much anything you want. The corner pieces and the straight pieces are made out of Alunzic steel, and it's going to last a lot longer than any traditional wooden garden bed, and probably save you guys money in the long run. Sproutbox allows you to choose 3 different colors. One's a darker green, one's gray color, and then one's a beige. And this color here is the eucalyptus, which is that darker green color. So the first thing you want to do is choose the shape and the size you want to build your raised garden bed at. With the instruction manual, you get the content that comes with it. You get the 9 different configurations. It also tells you how to put everything together, but you don't need that. That's what you got me for. On the very back, you have all the other Sproutbox garden products. You'll find other contacts for Sproutbox, things like that. What comes in the Sproutbox 17-inch 9-in-1 raised garden bed is the 4 corner pieces, 8 straight panels, a bunch of bolt hardware, a tool to tighten the bolts up, and a rubber trim. You don't need to use every piece, but for the 2 foot by 8 foot build, I will be. And the rubber trim goes on top of all the edges to make it look mighty sexy. There are 4 holes on each side of the panel. This is where the bolts attach the panels together. The bolts go in from the outside like this, then the flat washers and the nuts last. Last, use the fancy tool they give you to tighten everything up. The hard part was lining all the holes up to fit the bolts through. I started with the top hole and worked my way down. The top was easier to see the hole and easier to line up. If you have trouble finding holes, then this part might be tricky for you. So the whole installation process took around 35 minutes. I ended up doing it by myself because I'm strong. If you are doing it by yourself, then put everything on a flat surface. This just makes the holes line up a lot easier. The one tricky part was putting the 2 panels together and then fitting the bolt through, because if it's not exactly flat, the bolt will fly out when you're trying to put on the nut and the flat washer. Each panel comes with a protective plastic film. It's very easy to peel off, and if you're one of those bubble popping type, then this is nothing like it, but you'll probably enjoy it anyways. I started with the corner pieces since they stand up by themselves once they're put together, and attach the straight pieces afterwards. Once you get that all set up, then just go around attaching 1 piece at a time. Here, let me show you how it's done. Cue the time lapse with music.
I don't wanna go waste another day, mess it up again, lost in my way. I'll be the one to have the highest price to pay. If I make it home tonight, may I hold you one last time? Let me hold you one last time.
The rubber trim sits at the top and goes all the way around your raised garden bed. It stops any sharp edges from cutting you and allows you to lean over while doing garden things. The trim is really soft and I really found it satisfying putting it on. I don't know why, it just fit exactly as I'd imagined. Let's cue the time lapse and do some ASMR rubbery trimming stuff. So for filling the raised garden bed, I did a tiny bit of hugelkultur technique. So I have a tree growing right beside where this raised garden bed's going to sit, and some of it shaded off parts of my garden. Cut the pieces off the tree into smaller pieces, and I threw those into my raised garden bed at the bottom. It wasn't very much, but it cuts the cost on the amount of soil you have to actually fill your raised garden bed up. Since it is 17 inches tall, it'll be quite a bit of soil. And where the final destination of the raised garden bed was, I put some cardboard on the bottom. The worms will help you eat it, and it just suppresses the weeds. The last thing you want to do is level off everything. You don't want water pooling on one side of your raised garden bed. It's just not good for the plants on that side. Now it's time to fill up the garden bed with some good old-fashioned wheelbarrow and shovel technique. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you once again, Sproutbox, for sending me this wonderful raised garden bed. I've been using it for roughly 2 weeks now. Planted everything out, let everything grow. What are my thoughts? It's a fantastic product. I think the raised garden bed is going to last much longer than any traditional wooden bed. Putting it together was very easy. The instructions were very clear. I'm fairly good at them in general, but this made it so much easier. The product looks very nice. I love the color. I love how it's built, the quality. Overall, I give it an A+, and I will definitely be buying them in the future. Once again, links in the description if you guys want to check them out. Oh, and Sproutbox, I'm sorry for how long the video took. I didn't forget about you guys. With that said, here are some good videos I think you guys would like next. Cheers, and keep on gardening.